Hello and welcome to another adventure here on my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Loki, the series on Disney+. Since I did a video all about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I thought it was only right that I talk about Loki on this channel as well, specifically the fandom's reaction to the show, because that's what I found particularly interesting, because I'll be honest with you, I've seen a lot of really crappy takes about this show. Biphobic takes, sexist takes, and just some generally bad takes about the two main ships that have come about from the show and the way the fandom has very much been arguing with each other about these ships. So that's what I want to talk about today. But before I dive on in, I do want to address one thing that I will not so much be going deep into in this video, because there has been some discussion among gender fluid and trans people that this show is in a way fluid phobic, which is in some way harmful to or insulting to gender fluid people, or transphobic in a way. And I personally will not really be addressing that in this video for the simple reason that I do not feel like I am the proper person to address such a thing. I am a cis woman, and I'll be honest, I am still in the process of educating myself about gender fluid people in general. I don't really 100% understand it from what I have read and tried to educate myself about it with so far. I know it has something to do with those times when you feel like you're the other gender. Like how once in a while I'll feel like a guy in a woman's body, but I am a cis woman, so I don't really get how it's different than being cis. But just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not real, doesn't mean that it's not valid, and doesn't mean that I don't respect people who are gender fluid. I don't speak Japanese, but it's still a real language, and I still respect people who speak Japanese. It's just like that. So I want to be clear that by not really talking about that in this video, it's not because I'm not aware of it. It's not because I don't think it's valid. I just don't think I am the proper person to be having that conversation. So instead, I'm going to link a Tumblr that I found really interesting and really helpful when trying to educate myself about this issue. I will link that down in the description below so you can find the information for yourself from an actual gender fluid person rather than a cis woman. So having said that, the things that I am going to be taking a look at in this video are the biphobic reaction, the sexist reaction, the bad takes about Lokius, which is Loki and Mobius as a ship, the bad takes about Sylki, which is Loki and Sylvie as a ship, and then my opinion in general about this show, which couple I ship, because I am going to not tell you who I ship until later on in the video when I'm done going through what I genuinely think are just bad takes about the ships in general, because who I ship really shouldn't affect why I think these takes are bad. So that's what we're going to be discussing. I do want to put a disclaimer in this video. I am going to be showing screenshots of different Tumblr posts and Twitter posts and things like that, and I do not want anyone, I do not condone anyone going and finding these people and harassing them or commenting on their stuff. That is not what this video is for. This video is just to have a discussion, keep it to my comment section, and share our opinions about this show. Also, there will be spoilers in this video, so if you have not seen the show, I do highly recommend going and watching the show first and then coming back to this video. But if you wish to continue before watching the show, you have been warned. So I'm gonna scooch on over and we're gonna start by looking at some of the biphobic takes that I have seen online about this show, because if you do not know, if you are watching this without watching the show first, which again I don't recommend, but if you are going forth anyway and doing that, they fully confirmed Loki and Sylvie as bisexual. The two main characters of the show were both confirmed as bisexual explicitly on screen. They have this little conversation where she's like, what about you? Any would-be princesses or maybe a prince? And he says something along the lines of, a bit of both, I suppose the same as you. And she kind of smiles and you can tell that she's bi too. So that is one way they are alike. So they are both explicitly confirmed bisexual. This isn't Marvel pulling some bullshit. This isn't Marvel queer baiting. They are both confirmed bisexual on screen. And I have to say, and I'm so happy to say this, that I have seen way more bi-positive takes and people calling out the biphobia in this fandom than I have seen biphobic takes alone. And I'm really happy to see that, because it really makes me feel like biphobia, especially in the LGBT plus community, is no longer nearly as accepted as it used to be. And people are still critiquing the show but explicitly saying, do not be biphobic about this. And I'll show you some bi-positive stuff too, but I want to show you some of the biphobic bullshit that has come out of the Loki fandom. So first we're going to start with this tweet that says, yeah, they're bi, but a bi man and a bi woman being together is still hetero. It feels like false flagging to reveal their first LGBT protagonist during Pride just to have them being in a het relationship. Let's play the what's biphobic about this game. Can you guess? Yeah, it's the fact that two bi people in a relationship is not a hetero relationship. It is a bi relationship. They are bisexuals confirmed in a relationship with each other. It's not hetero. It's just not, because hetero means heterosexual, and none of the people in this relationship are heterosexual. It's not false flagging and it is not queer baiting to confirm that someone is bisexual and then have them in a relationship with someone who appears to be the opposite gender. I am personally a bisexual woman. I am currently in a relationship with a man. I am still bisexual. I am still queer. Loki is still queer. He is confirmed queer on screen, and him being with a woman does not negate that because he is bisexual. So this, highly biphobic. This is classic biphobia. Here is another biphobic take. ICB, they made Loki bi and then he's falling for a woman, or well, looks like woman, IDK what female Loki actually identifies as, during Gay Pride Month. Yes, him falling for a female doesn't invalidate him being bi, but I'm so tired of watching hetero stuff. Now, this person at least tried to appear as if they were not being biphobic, but they're still being biphobic. Can you guess why, kids? Because it is not a hetero relationship. So this person is not watching hetero stuff by watching Loki, because both of the people in this fictional relationship are bisexual, confirmed bisexual canon in the show. So congratulations, you're not watching anything hetero, so you're getting what you wanted, unless what you're saying is you want a male with a male ship, which yes, is not what you're getting, but you're not getting something hetero. And then I'm gonna make this be the last biphobic take that I'm gonna share with you, because honestly, I'm getting frustrated and tired of it, and we're only on the first batch of bad takes. So, Marvel Studios president Kevin, however you pronounce the last name, has opened up about Loki's bisexuality reveal and the MCU's representation as a whole. It is of utmost importance that the MCU represents the true world outside fans' windows. And then someone responded to that tweet with, can Marvel stop giving us the absolute bare minimum and then acting like they threw the first brick at Stonewall? Like, fuck off. You don't give a shit about any of us. Not for real. That's why you give us half-arsed representation that you can't even bother to get right. Okay, what's biphobic about this take? The fact that the queer people are bi is half-arsed. That it's the bare minimum to make someone bisexual. They confirmed bisexual. Because it makes it seem like they're saying that bisexuality is only half-arsed queerness rather than a fully queer identity with its own distinct place in the LGBT plus community. Now, I will say, could they have done more? Should Marvel have more explicit queer romances in 13 years worth of content? Yes. But this queer representation is not half-arsed or the bare minimum. Saying that two bisexual leads of a show is half-arsed representation because they end up with a man and a woman together, that's not half-arsed representation. That's still bisexual representation, and them not getting it right because Loki is not with another man. Like, that's not how bisexuality works. He's still bisexual. So that's where I'm going to leave it with the biphobic post, and let's look at a couple bi-positive posts that I'm so proud to see in the fandom. It makes me super happy to see. So this one says, just because a relationship is straight passing doesn't mean it isn't queer. Exactly. And here's another bi-positive take. Loki has to be with a man. He's bisexual, but he's a fictional character, so he has to be in a same-sex pairing. No, he doesn't. That's not how bi-rep works. People really don't get how harmful this is. This gets bi people in MF pairings rejected by the community. And by MF, they mean male-female pairings. Exactly. Bi people have been told that we are not queer enough for so long, that if we're in a straight passing relationship, then we're really just straight. we're not valid if we're not with someone of the opposite sex, but we're not valid if we're not with someone of the same sex. It's constantly having to prove our bisexuality when that's not a thing. Like, if I say I'm bisexual because I am attracted to both men and women and agender people and trans people, my gender and other genders. I'm still queer if I am in an MF relationship, and Loki is still queer in an MF relationship, and Sylvie is still queer in an MF relationship. And by implying they're not, it is very harmful to bisexuals, and I'm so glad to see people calling that out.
Gay girl tip number 138. So let's say there's this girl, and she says that she's bisexual, but she has a boyfriend, and she's only ever been with this boyfriend, okay? She's never hooked up with anyone else. She's never dated anyone else. And in fact, you can see into her future, let's just say. And her and her boyfriend are so in love, they actually end up staying together forever. So she's only ever been with him. She'll only ever be with him, which means she's never hooked up with or dated any other gender. So it's like, yeah, she's still bisexual. Get over it.
However, I do want to point out that there is some completely valid critiquing of Disney for having this kind of queer representation as their basically only representation of the LGBT community in the MCU or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's people calling out the fact that the bi-representation, the confirmation scene could be easily edited out of the show for more homophobic countries. That they could still edit that scene out of the show for like the Chinese market, and it wouldn't fundamentally change the story. It would still very much be a completely logical, understandable show without that one scene. So there are people critiquing Disney for that in a way that's not biphobic and is still celebrating the fact that there is decent bi representation on this show while still calling out the corporation for doing it in a very safe way. That's a valid criticism and a valid take, and I'm not going to argue with that because that is true. But that can be true without the biphobia. And I have seen people calling that out. Like, I think this post phrases it really well. It says, the statements MF bisexual relationships are absolutely valid and deserve representation. And I don't trust that Disney had the best intentions in pairing Loki and Sylvie together. It feels like they put in a line about their bisexuality that they could edit out for foreign audiences and put them together to satisfy a heteronormative audience instead of doing so to genuinely represent MF bisexual relationships absolutely coexist. And I do think that Disney and Marvel need to explicitly have a form of queerness in some of their media that is not, like the Loki scene, easily edited out for other markets and easily ignored by homophobic people. I would like to see that, and I'm not discounting that. I am just also happy it is something, that it was confirmed, that this isn't like a Falcon and the Winter Soldier situation where they very strongly hint the whole time. They have them go to couples counseling and make jokes about it and have them roll down a hill in each other's arms and then are like, LOL, no homo. Like, at least they confirmed, yes, bye. But it is still in a way that, like this person said, and like I've seen many people say, it could be ignored by people who want to ignore it. But like I said, you can critique the corporation for making those decisions without being biphobic about it and still celebrating the win we've got. Because this is a main character in Marvel finally explicitly confirmed to be queer. Which does lead me into the critique of Kate Herron, who was the director of the series. All 6 episodes, I believe, were directed by her, who she is a bisexual woman. And she has gotten a lot of sexist hate. This is where I'm going to transition from talking about biphobia to the sexism that the fandom has displayed and the terrible sexist takes that there have been. Because I looked at her Twitter, Kate Herron's Twitter, and searched for her name on Twitter, and I saw some truly, truly disgusting things. Genuinely disgusting things about her and about Sylvie, the character Sylvie on the show. And I'm going to read you just a couple of the things that I found. This was tweeted at Kate Herron, and it was tweeted twice. I actually found it 3 times. This person really, really wanted people to read this statement. Here's the statement. Herron is a fat sloth that sidelined Loki in his own show for a cliche, strong woman character that got all the agency and did the finale while Loki fucking cried. Then they wonder why violence against women is spiking after the show, just like after England lost the Euros. I want to make this very clear. It is not Kate Herron's fault if there's a spike in violence against women. It is not the character Sylvie's fault if there has been a spike in violence against women. It is not the actress who plays Sylvie's fault if there is a spike in violence against women. It is literally no one on this show's fault if that is true. The only people whose fault that is are men. It is the men who are beating women who are at fault. It is men like this calling women fat sloths because they didn't like the woman's directing of a TV show. It is disgusting. And this was not the only account I saw tweeting bullshit like this. I also saw these tweet while looking at Sophia Di Martino's Twitter, who is the actress who plays Sylvie in the show. She's exactly why everyone hates women, and violence against them is the worst in generations, while female employment is the lowest in decades. The gender wage gap is rising, and abortion rights are about to get stripped. A good example of why, I should say, female-led action movies have done nothing but bomb at the box office for years. So they try to force women as main characters on men's shows, which doesn't let popular title characters shine. Sickening finale. Again, if violence against women is on the rise, it is no woman's fault. Not everyone hates women. Because you know what? Women are people. I'm a woman, so I'm part of everyone, and I don't hate women. Strangely enough, I think it's just men and men like this who hate women and are trying to justify their hatred by putting it on to women and saying it is our fault when it is not. Violence against women is not women's fault. It is men's fault. The gender wage gap is not women's fault. It is men's fault. Abortion rights getting stripped is not women's fault. It is men's fault. And it's definitely not fictional characters in a fictional universe's fault. It's not having more women in comic book shows that is doing this. It is disgusting men who get angry that there is more women in comic book shows. Like, can you imagine being so insecure that you're upset that there are other characters who are different than the lead character in a show that are also important? Like, this guy is getting upset because Sylvie was an important part of Loki's show. But I'm sorry? Like, there are going to be other characters in any TV show, not just the main character. And of any show to say, like, there's not enough Lokis, Sylvie is a variant of Loki. So, like, doesn't even check out. The show could have been Loki and 100% about Sylvie without Tom Hiddleston in it at all, and it still would have been an accurate title because she is still a version of Loki. Like, can you imagine being this insecure with yourself and taking it out on women, fictional women, and thinking your hatred is their fault? Men are no longer invited to enjoy comic book movies. They can leave the MCU for the girls and the gays like it should be, because if they can't handle it, if they can't handle people who are not like them being on screen, then, like, they just don't deserve to be here. So dudes who are chill, you can stay, but dudes like this, just let us enjoy things and fuck off. And there was more sexist takes against Sylvie in particular, saying like, oh, her whole story was about a man. Because apparently if a woman has a romance in a show, suddenly she doesn't have any agency herself, which that's bullshit. I saw something about who would win, Wanda or Sylvie, and it's like, why do you have to pit them against each other? And you'll find that in so many places, trying to get two thriving women to compete against each other as if there can only be one strong, amazing female. And it's such bullshit. So the show Loki has a badass bisexual female character, or at least female presenting character. And there's just so much sexism aimed at her, aimed at the director, because oh no, how dare the director be female too? It's just a lot, and it's disgusting, and I'm over it. And with that, I would like to move into the more fun, the more cheeky part of this video, where we're gonna talk about the ships, because boy, do people have opinions on these ships. Lokius, which is Loki and Mobius as a ship, and Sylki, which is Loki and Sylki as a ship, have caused some drama, some issues in the fandom. People are arguing. Some of it is chill, just normal fandom. Oh, I don't agree with you. Oh, it's so gross, kind of eye-rolly, just teasing type of fandom banter. And some of it is seriously not okay. And genuinely, a lot of it is based on some pretty shitty takes. Because for some reason, people seem to think that they have to have a reason not to like a ship. Like, it's never okay just to be like, hey, it's not to my taste. People have to have like, well, that's problematic and you're problematic and you suck if you like this, rather than just being like, hey, I like these two fictional characters together and I don't like these two. Why? I just do, and that's fine. For some reason, people like to just attack each other and be like, if you like the other side, you suck, you lose. And there have been some truly terrible takes to justify this on both sides, on both the Lokius side and the Sylki side. And I'm going to talk about the Anti-Lokius bad takes first, just because I feel like it will take less time, because there seems to be one prominent take that I want to disagree with, whereas there are several with Sylki, and genuinely I have seen the Lokius side, the Lokius shippers, screaming at the Sylkius shippers and being just way more toxic. And if you are currently a Lokius shipper, you may be mad at me for saying that, but I am not going to do the false equivalent of saying they're both equally as bad when genuinely I have not seen that. And like I said, I have not told you which side I ship. I very much could be a Lokius shipper. I very much could be a Sylki shipper. You don't know yet, and that's the fun of this, because my opinion of who I ship doesn't influence my opinion of how terrible all of these takes are, or my opinion of who I've seen being worse to each other on the internet. So let's talk about the Anti-Lokius takes. So I feel like this post sums it up really well, the critiques I've seen against the ship Lokius. Mobius and Loki. They love Mobius so much, yet want Loki to be with a man who mentally and emotionally tortured him, and man who is his captor, but no one seems to care about this. They say Mobius calls out Loki being a ship, but no one seems to call out Mobius as a complete ass/sadist. This is a bad take, because what they're overlooking is the years, the possible centuries, at least decades of brainwashing that Mobius had been through. Because for a lot of this show, Mobius was just doing as he was told, doing as he was ordered, doing what the TVA wanted him to do. I personally wouldn't call it mentally and emotionally torturing Loki at any point. I think that from the beginning, Mobius was always very nice to Loki, nicer than he had any reason to be, but specifically after he realized the TVA was not okay, that what he was told was wrong, he was 100% on Loki's side, there for Loki, and doing everything he could for Loki, which shows who he is as a person, because when he fully has the choice, when he has all the information, that's how he acts. And even before he had all the information, he was still better to Loki than he definitely could have been. He stopped Loki from getting pruned originally. He didn't have to do that. And yes, he wanted something from Loki, but he could have started by throwing him into that time loop and just waiting, but instead he talked to him. He tried to show him why Loki should help them, what would happen otherwise, what was going on. So no, this is not a good reason not to ship Lokius. You don't need a reason not to ship Lokius. You can just say, hey, I don't see it, and that's enough. But trying to say, well, he tortured him, no. No, that's not what happened in the show. And even if you're gonna stick by your guns and say 100% yes it is, it's still not valid for not shipping Lokius because, again, once Lokius fully had choice, he chose to be good to Loki. There's another variation of this. That's this post that says, "Antis be like, why Marvel had to push that gross self-cess down our throats when there's a beautifully healthy and wholesome gay ship right there, and the beautifully wholesome ship in question is between a cop and his prisoner that he blackmailed, manipulated, and dared to call a bad friend for the crime of trying to escape captivity before sending said friend to be psychologically tortured as punishment." Again, that's a really, really harsh interpretation of this show. This also seems to be trying to make a one-for-one analogy between actual police officers and the criminal justice system and magical time cops in a Marvel show. Like, I don't think that's exactly what the show is trying to do, and I think that's a harsh interpretation of the show because it's not a one-for-one analogy. Basically, I'm saying you could interpret it that way, but it really feels like a stretch there. And again, all my previous points apply, especially that this discredits the fact that Mobius was basically brainwashed for who knows how long before he originally came into contact with Loki anyway. And with that, let's start talking about Anti-Sylki. And this is going to take a while because there are a few different takes that I feel like I need to break down. The major one being that Sylki is incest slash self-cest. And this has been used kind of together, but I want to break it apart and attack it separately because incest and self-cest are two very different things. So I'm going to start with incest because is Sylki incest? No. Straight up no. It's just not. They are not related. They're not siblings. They're not twins. They're not family. So for it to be incest, they would have to be family. Because that's the thing with incest. Socially, it's wrong because, oh my gosh, you were raised together as siblings. Gross. But biologically, there are issues because it's the same set of genes mixing again, and that can lead to birth defects and all kinds of problems for any potential children. There's another post that really gets into AU versus alternate timeline, so alternate universe versus alternate timeline. I'm sorry if it's a little small over here, I'm going to read it to you. It says, Loki thread, I know where the confusion of Sylki being comes from, a misunderstanding of the multiverse. There is a difference between alternate timeline variants and alternate universe variants. I'm going to break this down. First off, let's establish timeline versus universes. The Loki we are following in the show is a variant. He's from a different timeline branch from Endgame. These two Lokis are not the same, though genetically they would be exact replicas. However, what we see in the end credits of episode 4 is a bunch of alternate universe Lokis. We can tell because, well, they aren't Tom Hiddleston. They come from different universes, so their entire genetic makeup is different, though their roles are roughly similar in them. Sylvie is an alternate universe Loki, and therefore her entire genetic makeup is entirely different from our Loki. So no, they are not twins. They are not the same person at all. Her entire universe is different from the main MCU from a molecular level. To say Sylvie and Loki are the same person or twins or incest is to suggest he also shares the same/similar DNA as a black man and a freaking alligator, which is just no. Again, they are from entirely different universes from the ground up and have only experienced certain similar life events. They are totally different people. Not to mention, she doesn't even identify as a Loki variant. She goes by Sylvie for a reason. But the point is that it is not because they are from completely different universes and they play the role of Loki in those universes. It's kind of more like an actor playing a role in a play. So if you think of the timeline as a play, they are the actor playing the character of Loki, God of Mischief. And even if a different actor takes up that role, it's still the same role. Like every actor to ever play Macbeth has pretty much played the same character, even if their personal take on it is different, they still do the same thing in the story. And that's kind of the difference between the different Loki variants in alternate universes, not so much in alternate timelines where he like makes a different choice. But I hope that kind of makes it a little more clear as to why they're still both Loki, but they're not the same person. And like I said before, they don't have the same genetics. It's just a different actor playing the same role on the timeline. So the critique that Sylki is incest just doesn't hold up. But you could clearly argue that even though it is not incest, it is still self-cest, which is a fandom term for when basically someone is paired with another version of themselves, either through time travel, cloning, different universes like this, any sort of way that someone could do it with themselves. And people are really adamant that that is what Sylki is, and it is disgusting and morally wrong because that's what this is. Here is a huge rant I found about Silkincest is what they call it. Me getting mad about Silkincest part 892,748. And it has a screenshot from the Loki Instagram account that says, "We're stronger than we realize," and it has a bunch of the Lokis except for Sylvie on it if it's too small for you to see. And the rant says, "The fact that they changed Lady Loki's name to Sylvie, the fact that she never mentions Thor while every other Loki did at least once, the fact that she's not in this picture even though she's the first Loki variant we see, and she was fundamental in the battle against Goliath, all to make us forget that Sylvie and Loki are literally the same person. They share a brother. Sylki is self-cest and it's disgusting. No, it's not biphobic wanting a male presenting bi character to be in a gay relationship, especially if the other choice is him being in a straight relationship with his female self. If the love interest was any other female character, it would have been okay. I would still be bitter about it because I'd love to see some queer representation, but that'd be okay. Bi people date opposite gender too. It's the fact that they chose a disgusting self-cest over showing Loki's attraction to men that's making me lose it." People are passionate about this, about it being gross and disgusting that it's self-cest. Until I found this interesting tweet. Just putting this out here now, but if it turns out that Sylvie isn't a Loki variant at all, but Mobius actually is a Loki variant, I'm leaving Twitter for a few days because this place is gonna be a war zone. And someone responded, "I would become the biggest hypocrite of all and continue to ship Lokius." And someone else said, "Same." Okay, so self-cest is disgusting and horrible unless it's your ship. Interesting. And here's the thing. Here's my point about why this whole self-cest thing is a bad take. Come here. Self-cest doesn't exist. There's no real world equivalent to self-cest. Unless one of y'all invented a time machine that I am not aware of. The closest thing we have to self-cest in the real world is masturbation, and that is perfectly normal and healthy. If you are like, I am personally not into Sylki because to me, them being different versions of the same character doesn't click with me. I don't like it. That's one thing. But saying other people who do like it are disgusting and gross and attacking show writers and attacking actors and actresses, that's wrong. And I've seen some messed up stuff. Like, I had to see this post of someone saying, "Reminder, don't attack the actors/actresses. They are just doing their job. Don't fucking send death threats. Leave Tom and everyone else alone. Be mad at Marvel and Marvel only because the ship they liked didn't become canon." That's wrong. That's disgusting behavior. You should not be sending death threats to people ever, let alone over something as unimportant as a TV show. There was also this screenshot that I found that someone sent to a person's Tumblr messages that says, "I just sent 100 of my followers Tom's address in London. We're going to organize. Let's make him regret filming this stupid series. Make a post with a smiley face on it if you want to join us." Luckily, that person said, "Anon, fuck off. You better be joking. Tell me this is satire. Holy shit. Do not harass this man. Probably going to block you unless you confirm this is a joke. I'd invite everyone to join me," and then it cut off. Spreading his address to tell people to show up and make him regret filming this show. That is disgusting, and I wish I could say I was surprised. But I've been in fandom too long, and I've seen too much of this bullshit to be surprised. It's disgusting, though, and still needs to be called out. Because this is not okay. I get it. I love fandom, too. I have been in fandom culture for a long time now. I've been on Tumblr since the first Hunger Games movie. When I first got on Tumblr, that is mahogany was the big meme. I have seen some crap. I have seen cyberbullying over ships. I was in the Once Upon a Time fandom when the whole Emma Swan and Hook versus Sleeping Beauty and Hook thing was going down. Ooh, you think the beauty community is messy? Should have been there for that. It gets mean and disgusting, but that does not mean it's okay. It has never been okay. It will never be okay. And people like me who have been in fandom long enough to have seen this pattern repeating itself need to call it out. Because I understand the majority of these people are probably young teenage fans who don't realize how messed up what they're saying is. But that means us adults in fandom need to especially call it out and be like, hey, not okay. And I understand you get emotionally invested in these characters, and it can be an escape for people who are going through a really hard time. That's how I used fandom, is when I was bullied, I kind of shut myself into fandom to be okay. That was my coping mechanism. I understand there's more to it than just, oh, they're fictional characters, but still they're fictional characters. And harassing real people because of fictional characters, not okay. Never been okay. Look, if you're someone who is just kind of cheekily arguing with your friends about which ship is better, go off, have fun, have a good time. But don't be toxic to people and rude to people and cyberbully people and attack actors and stuff on social media because you don't like what happened in the fictional show. We can still criticize the company for their choices and Disney for really restricting the queer representation that is possible in these shows. That, totally cool. But that is different to a lot of what's going on. But I have spent enough time talking about the negative side of fandom. I want to talk about the positive side. I want to tell you who I ship, why I ship them, and show you some fun memes that I've seen from the Loki fandom before wrapping up this video and end it on a positive note. Because, you know, I was so excited when watching the show that I was finally going to be in the shipping majority. Usually I like the rare pair, I like the weird ship. I was a big fan of Remus Lupin and Bellatrix Lestrange in Harry Potter. Super rare pair, not a lot of people like it, but the fanfiction writers brought their A game and made me ship it. I liked Haymitch and Effie in The Hunger Games, which wasn't a rare pair or anything, but definitely not like the fandom ship like Katniss and Peeta was. Supernatural, I liked Meg Stiel, not Destiel. So I was so excited when I was like, I am finally going to be in the majority ship, because then I get to enjoy all the beautiful artwork from these artists. I get to enjoy the fan fiction I want. Like, I finally get the perks of being in the majority ship. And then I went on Tumblr and found out the majority ship was Lokius, and I was very, very deeply confused because I did not see that as anything besides a friendship. Are you surprised that after going on for 20 minutes as to why the major critiques to Sylki was bullshit, I end up being a Sylki shipper? Probably not. I have tried to be fair and balanced and give each one equal time based on how much time I needed to debunk the issues, and I still stand by the whole Mobius is terrible and toxic and tortured him is still just as BS as Sylki is incest or self-cest. But I like Sylki. I do. I like their chemistry. It's nice seeing your ship actually become canon. Like, that's different for me. I don't usually get that. I enjoyed it. I understand the pain of it not being canon very well. Several of my ships totally not canon. But it was nice. I liked their chemistry. I like what they did with the story. It was fun. I was invested. I wrote fan fiction for the first time since high school. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I am not going to tell you where I posted it because it is on my old account, like where my old fan fictions from high school still are posted. So I don't want to own up to that account, but there is Sylki fanfiction by me that you can go and read if you find it, but you won't know it's mine. And I'm having fun. It's been a while since I've really gone hard for a ship because I've just kind of not been in fandom for a while. I've kind of switched my enjoyment to makeup for a long time. I was kind of just in the makeup fandom as my fandom, but it's nice to actually nerd fandom again, like Comic-Con fandom. I want to do a Sylvie cosplay for the upcoming Comic-Con, which I can go to because I'm vaccinated. Wonderful. I'm so excited. And I just hope all the BS can be calm for a while, that people can just ship and let ship. I did do a poll on my Instagram stories talking to you guys about your thoughts and opinions, and that's how I know that a lot of my subscribers and people who interact with my stuff are Lokius shippers, which completely valid, just not my thing, which is fine. But several of you were like, why not both? And I respect that. I respect that. I found some fun memes about both that I thought were pretty good. It says, IDK House to say it, but Mobius approves of Loki's girlfriend Sylvie, and Sylvie approves of Loki's boyfriend Mobius, and Loki is just happy to be there. And valid. Some other funny ones that I really liked were Loki making fun of Natasha for risking her life for love. Loki 12 hours later realizing he'd die for a woman he shared a blanket with. I need a time travel fic where he goes back and talks to his past self and is like, dude, you have no idea what's in for you. And Natasha is just like, huh? I think that'd be hilarious. Classic Loki. I can't explain it, but these two have the same energy. Thank you to the Loki writers for the Super Hulock show I asked for in 2012. New York's hottest club has everything. Tom Hiddleston, bisexual lightning, time traveling mess, Team Free Will against God, and everyone pissing Benedict Cumberbatch off. I saw so many memes about like Doctor Strange having to clean all this up, and they were fantastic. They were peak. I found this one scrolling through Lokius/Sylki Armageddon to stumble across some Thorky. You guys are still here. Thorky used to be like such a thing. Like it was the Loki ship. So the fact that it's just kind of fallen to the wayside, pretty funny. So every fanfiction is canon now. YN, you whore. If you get that, let me know, because there's going to be some people who don't get that, and fair. Speaking of fanfiction, I looked up some Loki fanfiction, and this is how many there were, and I thought that was hysterical. I'm trying to hurry through this because my camera's about to die, and I don't have a backup battery. But my favorite and the funniest Loki meme to me is, Loki is the new Tumblr sexy man. Bro, he's an original. He's one of the blueprints. This isn't new. This is just a revival. Loki is the new Tumblr sexy man. What's next? Are we gonna have to make posts going, hey guys, I just discovered this BBC series called Sherlock. It's so good. Why does no one ever talk about it? There should be a Tumblr convention. Hey guys, I have an idea. What if one day we suddenly change all our icons to Misha Collins? I love this. The Tumblr is a circle, time is a circle thing. It's so funny to me because, like I said, I was on Tumblr during 2012, during the peak cringy Tumblr, and I was having a blast because I was a kid and I was just enjoying what I liked. So either I didn't talk fast enough or I just talked too much because I did not make it in time and my camera did die, so I'm sorry if it kind of shifted a little bit. But my point is that I'm kind of happy to see old Tumblr coming back, there being this resurgence, because even though it was cringe or whatever, I have a lot of nostalgia, a lot of fond memories for that time on Tumblr because I was just a kid having fun with what I enjoy. So this whole Loki is the new Tumblr sexy man thing is hysterical to me because like the post said, Loki is an original Tumblr sexy man. One of my friends in high school was super obsessed with him, and now I guess it's my turn to be obsessed with a version of him. Sylvie is phenomenal and I love her so much. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think of Loki? Let's be civil, or if we can't be civil, then at least, like I said, just keep it to this comment section. And I guess with that, I will see you all next time. Okay, I had so much fun with this makeup, doing like a Loki inspired makeup look. Oh, so fun. I love how it came